Hello and welcome guys to an Arduino tutorial by Arduino Tutorials, the YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos. It's very grateful. And tell your friends about us. Okay, this is a tutorial on how to blink an LED, and it will give you an introduction to Arduino code. If you have never done Arduino before, this is the perfect lesson to you. This is lesson 2 in the Ultimate Arduino Beginner's Guide series as well. If you're watching that series, then I suggest you watch it first before watching this one. I don't want to babble, so let's get straight on with the Arduino stuff. You will need today an Arduino or clone, a solderless breadboard, jumper wires, and an LED of any colour. Okay, so get all them parts ready, we're about to do the wiring. Right, but before we do the wiring, I want to explain two things about the LED. The LED, well, the first thing, just very quickly, the LED can melt quite easily. You can't just apply bare 5 volts and ground to it because it will melt. It could be very disastrous. Always use a resistor. Second thing, the anode and cathode. Right, it says here the LEDs have 2 wires coming out of them. One is called the anode, which is the longer one, and the other is called the cathode, which is the shorter one. The anode is positive and the cathode is negative. Then here we have a little diagram of the LED. The longer one has that little bent bit, and it's the anode. The shorter one is the cathode, which is anode is positive, cathode is negative. So basically means in Arduino you attach the anode to 5 volts and the cathode to ground. It's pretty simple. Now you need to wire up your components. Now what you do is you put ground going to the cathode. And then here, you have digital pin 13 going to a resistor, going to the anode. Now, what we're going to do in this program is, well, the digital pins can be set as inputs or outputs. If digital pins are inputs, they can sense whether there's electricity flowing through them or not. If they are outputs, they can send out electricity when asked to. So let's have a look at if this isn't sending out electricity. We've got ground going to there, but nothing going to here. So it's going to be off. If we have 13 on, sending out 5 volts, then it will light up the LED, and it will take it on, and then in the program we can delay it for a certain amount of time. In the program we can delay it for a certain amount of time whilst it's still on, and then turn it off by right. So with digital pins we've learnt you can control whether they are on and off if they are outputs, which is useful in this code today. Right, let's have a look at the 2 main functions. Every Arduino program has 2 main functions. Functions are part of a computer program that runs specific commands. Functions have unique names and are called when needed. The necessary functions in an Arduino program are called setup and loop. These functions need to be declared, which means you have to tell the Arduino what these functions will do. So in our program today we have got the loop and setup. Now setup sets up the program for the Arduino. It can declare things as inputs or outputs. It can just basically set it up for the loop. That's all it does, and it only runs once. The loop runs over and over and over again until you stop the program, and the loop will basically, it's the main part of the program that you will always have. Okay, and then let's have a look at the semicolon. Every statement in Arduino code ends in a semicolon. It's fairly basic. Single line comments. In Arduino programs, to make a single line comment, do 2 forward slashes and write your comment after, as we can see here. Comments are useful because when you write code, you might need to go back to it later, or if you're uploading it to the internet, people might forget about what you did at an earlier date and need to go back to it. And comments are not taken into account when the program is compiling, and they will go green to signify it's a comment. And then here we've got a multi-line comment. To make a multi-line comment, you have a slash and an asterisk, followed by an asterisk and a slash, and you can write anything in between them that you want to. Okay, well this is the actual code now. I'm going to go through it really slowly so that you understand, because this is the first time you've seen Arduino code. Right. as we talked about before, the functions void setup and void loop. After a function, which is this here, you have, you have two brackets facing each other and an opening curly bracket. And then, to finish, you have a closing curly bracket. And then, you write your code for that function in between the two curly brackets. Here we've got an example of a single line comment, it's gone green. Now, let's have a look at the actual code. Pin mode. This is the first bit of code that you've seen, pin mode. Pin mode is useful. What it does is, it sets pins on your Arduino board as inputs or outputs. We want it as an output because we are going to send electricity out of 13 when we tell it to. So all pin mode does is set 13 in this case as an output. It can set it as an input as well, but that's what it does. Okay. So let's just summarise. Void setup sets it up for the program. It's got two brackets facing each other, an opening curly bracket. Then we write pin mode 13 output, which sets pin 13 as an output, and then we have a closing curly bracket. And don't forget what I told you at the start. We have a semicolon after every statement, like we've got there with pin mode. A statement is just something that we're telling the Arduino. Pin mode 13 output. 13 is an output, it's a statement. Okay, next you begin a loop, which runs forever. Now, this is the same as void setup. A loop has two brackets facing each other and an opening curly bracket, followed by a closing curly bracket. Okay, now this is the next part of code we've seen. Digital write. Now, on this earlier piece of code here, we set 13 as an output, and then here, we are setting 13 as high. Saying an output is high is saying it is sending electricity out of it. High. Okay? High turns the LED on. High is the voltage level. So digital write can set pins as high or low. So we've set it as high. Digital write 13 high. Turns the LED on. Delay 1000. Waits for a second. 1000 is in milliseconds, but it is the same to a second. So, these are the only three things we're looking at today. Digital write, delay, and, pin mode. Then, we've got the same as here. We've got digital write, 13, but instead of high we've got low, so it turns the LED off. It's only got ground going to it, therefore it cannot be turned on. And then, to finalise, we've got delay 1000, which is wait for a second. And then it starts again, digital write 13 high, delay, digital write 13 low, delay, and it goes on and on and on and on and on. And then here's the finished code. You need to copy that into your Arduino IDE. Try and do it very quickly. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to pause this and copy it in, and then you can do some challenges with that code. Turn the mic off. Sorry about this, I'll go up to my room in a second. Need to finish this because it's taken me ages. Okay. Here are 3 challenges I want you to do. Challenge 1. Change the digital output pin in your Arduino code from 13 to 12 and modify the code and change the wiring accordingly. Challenge 2 is change the delay in between blinks from 1 second to 2 seconds. And then challenge 3, change the code to have digital pins 12 and 13 as outputs and have your 2 LEDs blinking on and off. So, if you can't do all them challenges, it doesn't matter, but try and do as many as you can, because if you do challenges, you can understand the code better. Right, thanks for watching, and be sure to watch my many other Arduino tutorials. Next time we're going to be using potentiometers, and we're going to be doing analog pins and stuff like that. Thanks for watching though, and I will see you next time.